Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the RepPath podcast. And today, guys, we're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of breaking into medical sales, and that's resumes. So, we're going to touch on the resume mistakes that kill sales candidates' opportunities to break into this industry and to get new roles. But before we move into that, guys, as always, any questions, please submit them into the chat. We'll address them about halfway through the show. For all you candidates that are trying to break into this industry, I say it every week, guys. If you've been searching for more than 2 months and you think things are going to change, stop, okay? And reach out to us for the RepPath Academy. Click on the reppath.com link below, and you could see our website there. You could see the companies we work with and also some of the key testimonials of reps that have done well in this industry. So stop waiting, guys. Make sure that you join this academy today because we can help you break in and stop getting frustrated, getting ghosted by a lot of those recruiters and hiring managers out there. Lastly, if anybody wants to see a copy of this podcast, as always, go on my YouTube channel, the RepPath Academy. You'll be able to click the link below and subscribe. It's 100% free. So you could see that on the screen, guys. Click on the RepPath Academy YouTube channel so we can get you not only this content that we're producing today, but everything else that we're going to come out with in the future. But other than that, guys, let's dive right into today's topic. Okay, so resumes, guys. I can't tell you, we get on average, every job that we post at RepPath, we get 300 to 500 resumes. And it's that many. It is crazy, guys. There is a lot of candidates that want to break into this industry. And I would say over 90% of the time, it's the resume that's killing you to break into this industry. A lot of you guys like to blame, oh, it's my experience, it's this, it's that. Guys, it starts with the resume. They see your resume first. So for a lot of you guys that, because I know this comes up all the time too, that you don't get a job, but you got on a couple interviews, and you want to blame your experience. It's not your lack of experience. It's the confusion and ambiguity that you guys don't get it on your resume correctly. And that's what's costing you getting into this and breaking into the interview process. Okay, so you have to make sure that you avoid some of the mistakes that we're going to talk about today that a lot of reps do if you really want to get noticed in this industry. Okay, so one of the first things that you want to look at, guys, I know a lot of you guys, you have to realize that your resume it should look just like the back of a sports card. Okay, whether we're talking about a baseball card, a basketball, football. Let's start with Michael Jordan. Everyone knows Michael Jordan. If you look at the back of Michael Jordan's card, it's loaded with statistics. It doesn't say Michael Jordan passes the ball to Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan sometimes takes a three-point shot. Michael Jordan does 500 push-ups a day and runs 5 miles a day. Those are all daily activities, guys. What it says is he's a 6-time NBA champ, 5-time MVP, 9-time scoring champ, 10-time scoring champ, all NBA, whatever the stats are, they're all on the back of his resume because it's loaded with his results. And we're going to talk about that today because most of you load your resumes with your daily activities. And nobody gives a shit about that, guys. Okay? I'm going to say that straight out. You have to impress them with results on your resume. So they go, whoever this Joe Licata is, I have to meet him. Look at his resume. Look at all these accomplishments. Look at these results. And then when you get in the interview, that's when you can talk about how you did it. What was your strategy? What was your approach? What are your daily activities to achieve that success? That's how you get there, guys. And that's the important differentiator. But let's start with, basically from the top of the resume. One of the key mistakes that I see, guys, a lot of you guys leave your city and state off your resume. Now, let me tell you why that's a problem. Because I know the rationale a lot of you guys are thinking is, if I leave my city and state off the resume, then I'm open to any opportunity in the country. It's the opposite, guys. When you send a resume to a recruiter, here's what happens. They upload the resume in what's called an ATS. That's an applicant tracking system. So when they upload it in there, maybe a couple months later, they don't have an opening for you today, but there's an opening for a entry level position in North Jersey. Okay? The first thing they do when they get a new opening, they search their applicant tracking system. And the very first thing when they do a search is they put the city and state that the opening is. If it's Morristown, New Jersey, that is the title of the opening that the pharmaceutical or med device company is titling it. They're going to type in Morristown, New Jersey. Now, if you don't have your address in there, you don't need to put your street address, but you need your city and state. If you don't put your city and state in there, nothing is going to pop up. So you're actually doing the opposite of what you're intending to do. Instead of being open to every opportunity in the country, now you're not even open to the opportunities in your backyard because you didn't put your city and state there. So, guys, if you have it, leave it blank. If it's blank right now, make sure you put the city and state. You do not need the actual street address. Okay, that's one of the first things. Number two, very important, guys. If you have, I'm assuming most of you, if you don't today, you must get a LinkedIn profile set up. Okay, I know that's pretty rare, but just in case any of you are listening today and you do not have a LinkedIn profile set up, you must have it set up. But even more importantly, after you get that set up, you obviously want to put the link to your profile at the top of the page, right under your name, along with your cell phone, your email address, also your LinkedIn profile. Because it has to be in there, because every hiring manager, every recruiter, they're going to look at your resume and they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. One of the key mistakes you guys make when it's matching your resumes and LinkedIn profile, you either have dates that are off. There's an extra job either on your LinkedIn page or on your resume. Guys, these are major red flags. So do not do this. If you're going to put your LinkedIn profile on there or you have a LinkedIn account, it has to match identically to your resume. I mean identically. If you miss one date, if there's a date off, a date doesn't match. Most of the time what happens is a lot of you guys don't up your LinkedIn profile as often as you update your resume. So dates are going to be off. Or even worse, you do have an old job on your LinkedIn profile that your years have gone by and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to put that on my resume. I was only there for 3 months. Guys, trust me, if that shows up, the recruiters are being told by the hiring managers, or the recruiters are doing it on their own. They're going to look at that as a lack of attention to detail, or that you're just lying. So if they see something that doesn't add up, it's a red flag that you're bullshitting them and they won't move forward. Okay, so guys, it's very, very important. If you have a LinkedIn profile and your resume, they have to match verbatim. Okay, word for word, line for line, date for date, job for job. Everything's got to match identically. Okay. So let's talk about professional summaries. Now, I'm not a huge fan of professional summaries, to be honest with you. But again, a lot of companies, a lot of recruiters, they still read them. I get right to the meat of your resume, which is your results, the positions that you've held and the results. That's what I care about. But we'll talk about that. But let's start with the professional summary. Guys, I know a lot of us like to use ChatGPT, and that's fine. Okay. But if you just pop in a ChatGPT background professional summary based on some of your specific background and pop it into the resume, it is so obvious the way it's written, guys. They always start with results oriented, highly motivated, sales driven. It's adjective after adjective after adjective. And you got to ask yourself, guys, if you look at your professional summaries today and you're saying, does that really describe me? If you read that professional summary, does it differentiate from all the other candidates out there? Or does it look like a typical generic statement that you could replace anyone's name in? And if it looks like that, guys, if it's loaded with a lot of adjectives, that's a bad professional summary. Okay. You want to get specific. First and foremost, you want to talk about the years of experience that you have with over 20 years experience, over 7 years experience, whatever it is, and then get more specific into your details. Don't just list adjectives. So instead of saying, For instance, this is what bad looks like. Highly motivated, results driven, passionate, hardworking sales professional with excellent communication skills and a strong desire to succeed. Guys, everyone could put that on their resume. That doesn't say anything about me. If you read that sentence, you have no idea who Joe Licata is, right? Or whoever that specific candidate is. So you got to stop with the just generic adjective bullshit. It's just adjective after adjective. Anyone can put that. But what good looks like is top performing B2B sales representative with 4 years of quota carrying experience, 3 consecutive years of 120% of quota, and a track record of opening new accounts in competitive territories. Seek and transition into medical sales with strong physician-facing communication and territory development skills. That's much more specific. Okay, so that's the difference, guys. Be specific. Talk about your actual skills, not adjectives. So a simple way to test this, guys, if you can put someone else's name at the beginning of your professional summary and it's interchangeable, odds are that's a generic, terrible professional summary. But if you put in Joe or Steve or Bob, they all don't have 4 years of experience with over 120% above quota. See the difference, guys? It's got to be specific to your background. That's what's going to jump off the page when a hiring manager or recruiter reads that. Okay. Next, guys, this is very important too. A lot of you leave out the months in your resume that you've been in a position. So for instance, you'll put down 2022 to 2024, you worked at Medtronic, say. Now, guys, if you're 2022 to 2024, here's why it's a big difference. Without any months to differentiate or to specify the exact time you were there, you could be there from January 2022 to December 2024. Okay. Now, that's much different than December 2022 to January 2024. That's only a year. But if it's January 22 to December 24, that's 3 years. So see the difference, guys? And a lot of you do this to hide gaps. Okay. Now, here's the problem, guys. You're not going to lie your way through a gap. Okay. And I'm not saying you're going to tell them if something bad happened that you don't really want to get into. Yeah, you got to sell yourself and you can't just concentrate on negatives. But if you think you're going to hide it by leaving dates out, here's the problem. They're not stupid, guys. We see a lot of resumes, recruiters, hiring managers, they know the game. They know the bullshit that people try to pull by not putting the dates in there. So they're going to assume the worst. They're going to think that if you only had a 3-month gap, you may have a long 8-9-month gap, and that's why you're not putting the dates in. And you've had multiple gaps on your resume because you keep leaving the months out. So guys, put the month and date in there. March 22 to December 24, whatever that is, put the month in there too. I'm telling you, if you have a gap, it's better to explain the gap. Sometimes we're looking for jobs, guys, and it takes 6 months. Now, if you've been out for 3 years, obviously it takes an explanation, but that's nothing that hiding a month is going to help you with. They're only going to think that you're hiding something. So be truthful. It's easier, guys. Trust me. If they smell any kind of bullshit, they are going to stay away from that candidate. It's that simple. You got to remember, guys, there's too many candidates out there. So they will continue to they'll just find someone else quickly. Okay? All right. Perfect. So, like I was talking about, responsibilities versus results. Okay? This is a huge differentiator. So the way that I like to see resumes written, underneath whatever job you've had, give that timeline, like I said, including the months, March 22 to, January 2026. You were, a territory sales manager. We'll just say Medtronic, just because I said Medtronic before. And then you give one sentence that describes and answers 3 questions. What did you sell? Who did you sell to? Who's your customer? And where? So if you worked for Medtronic, you were responsible for sales of cardiac ablation instruments to cardiologists in the New York City territory. That's it, guys. One sentence. So it just clearly says what you did there. What did I sell? Cardiac ablation instruments. To who? Cardiologists. Where? New York City territory. Okay. And then move on. And then you get into your accomplishments. So that one sentence is not a bullet point, but your accomplishments, that's where you put your bullets in there. And here's where a lot of you guys screw up, because you list your daily activities there. You list your responsibilities. Nobody wants to see the list of responsibilities, especially if you've been in a sales role. Okay. Anyone in a sales role, guys, it's got to be about your results. If you're not putting results in there, they're going to automatically assume you didn't have good results. And that's why you're hiding it. But if you have results, you got to put them in there, guys. So instead of putting responsible for calling on physicians and growing territory sales, I want to see specificity. I want to see results. Grew territory revenue by 118% to quota in 2025. Ranked number 3 out of 35 reps in the cardiac division of Medtronic. Grew territory 155% from 2024 to 2025. And then list whatever awards if you did get awards. But they want to see 4 criteria. Not all you're going to have all 4, so don't get nervous. But if you don't have one of the 4, if you don't have rankings, if you don't have awards, if you don't have a percent of quota in there, if you don't have sales growth in there, if you have none of those and you're in a sales role, then 2 things have happened. Either you had poor results and you don't want to show them, or you weren't really in a sales role. You were in a support role. You were in a marketing role where a lot of reps, they pull that, where they try to twist it and make it seem like there was a sales role. But if you don't have the results there, guys, it wasn't a real sales role. So for a lot of you out there that I know you probably, if you're working for a smaller company, you might tell me, oh, Joe, we don't track all that. Bullshit, guys. Start tracking it yourself then. If you sold to one customer this month and then have 2 clients the next month, you grew 100%. Start tracking your data, guys. If the company's not going to do it, you have to do it yourself, because you got to get the results on there, or they're going to think that you didn't actually have good results on your resume. James, going to pause 1 second. I just got to check something.
Checking on Miguel, I'm sure.
Yep. All right, we're good. So I'm trying to jump off the table in the background. So anyway.
Suicide Miguel.
Yeah, so bottom line, guys, if you don't have numbers on there and you're in a sales role, you're going to lose credibility quickly, because they're going to think that you're not in a real sales position or you didn't achieve any real results. So you make sure that you get that on there, guys. It is the most important thing, because most companies, excuse me, most companies, when they have a new sales position and a new opening, they'll put in the job posting, that they want to see proven sales results. If you don't have that, again, guys, they're not going to want me to pass that resume on forward. So make sure that you're putting that in there. Make sure you're getting results in your resume. It's very, very important. Okay, so like I said, no numbers, no credibility. Yeah, and again, we're getting back into this, but using generic sales language. Guys, this is, again, get out of the adjective game. Hardworking, self-starter, excellent communicator, team player, results-driven, people person. I mean, people person, guys, please don't ever put that on your resume. Nobody cares about that. If you're in sales, if you want to get in medical sales, you better be good with people. That's not going to be a differentiator, guys. So don't put that down. If you put hardworking down, or if you say hardworking, any good hiring manager, recruiter is going to want you to show them, don't tell them. Okay? So by putting a hard worker down, here's a perfect example, and this happens a lot. Reps put that into their resume, and then they do nothing to outperform or outwork the other candidates during the interview process. They don't reach out to other reps. They don't build a business plan. They just go into the resume and just take it from there. Guys, you can't do that. You have to make sure that if you're going to say you're a hard worker, you better back it up with evidence. Especially during the interview process. You're going to say no one's going to outwork me, just like they didn't during this interview process, because I took the RepPath Academy to improve my skills. I did reach out to 15 different reps. I was able to learn all this information and build this specific business plan before the interview that I presented. Guys, that's what they're going to want to see. So don't just say hardworking. It's going to go on deaf ears, guys, especially if you have nothing to back it up with. You want to make sure you're backing it up. But that's why I don't want you to fall into that adjective game. It's got to be numbers, rankings, everything I talked about before. Got to have that in there. Get out of the adjective game, guys. Another thing, guys, if you do have sales experience, especially medical sales experience, a lot of you guys leave out specifics that make you unique in your background. And one of the first things that you guys leave out are the therapeutic areas that you've worked in. So important, guys. If you have medical sales experience or pharma, it doesn't matter what device, pharma, diagnostics. If you called on oncologist, put down oncologist. Because as a recruiter, when I get an opening and they're asking for a specific therapeutic background that they want to see have experience in, whether it's oncology, dermatology, neurology, anesthesia, whatever it is, make sure you put that down in there, guys, because when they do a search, that's what's going to pop up. I'm going to search neurology. I'm going to search anesthesia. And if you just have call on physicians, it's not going to pop up, guys. So you got to make sure you put that in there. Make sure it's specific to your therapeutic area that you worked in. And then also get specific on your real skills if you have them in the medical field. If you worked with IDNs, if you worked with GPOs, list some of them, guys. That's real experience. That's much more impactful than the generic adjectives that you're throwing out there. No one can just say, I worked with IDNs. You have to really have experience doing that. Same with GPOs. Whether it's, having experience with, device utilization, capital equipment, disposables, OR support, cath lab experience, whatever that is. If you have specific experience in the medical field, put it in there, because that's going to be the separation, factor that's going to help you, really get ahead of many of the other candidates. Okay. We talked about some of this. Guys, here's another key mistake that a lot of you guys make. You talk too much about the company that you work with. You talk too much about the company. You give me a 3-sentence background about where the company is located, how many employees they have. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. Guys, they don't care about the company. If they want to look up the company, they'll look up the company background. They care about you and your role at that company and what you achieved in those roles. So don't waste 4 or 5 sentences or any sentences talking about the background of a company that they can look up, or a lot of these hiring managers already know about. If you work for Boston Scientific or work for Abbott or Pfizer, you don't have to describe how many where the company's located and how many employees they have. Guys, they don't care about that. You should be able to describe what you do in 1 sentence. That's the important thing. What do you do? And then your results. And then in the interview, if they want to talk more about a company that they don't have much experience in, they're going to ask you about it. But the results are the things that are going to jump off the page, not talking about a company, for five sentences. It's not important. So make sure you don't waste time doing that. Secondly, guys, speaking of between summaries, between descriptions of your job responsibilities, all these things, guys, you got to keep it short and sweet. A lot of you guys, I see paragraph after paragraph of descriptions that all you're doing is taking away from your results. So if you give me a lot to read and I don't see any results on your page, I'm only going to spend a couple of seconds on a resume, guys. That's a secret here that for a lot of you that think recruiters or there's A lot of you guys think there's some AI bot that's kicking out the bad resumes. Guys, that's all bullshit. Recruiters actually look at these resumes. They actually read them. There's someone that is looking at a resume before it's passed on. They also don't spend 10 minutes on every resume. They're glancing at it in seconds. A good recruiter can look at a resume in 30 seconds and see, is this person a fit or not? And if a lot of you guys do yourself disjustice by actually having a good background, but you write novels, and then you have all this information that no one cares about, or you bore the hell out of the reader, that by the time you get to the results, they're already bored, and they're not going to move forward because they have already passed on that resume. So make sure that you're actually giving, getting to the point and getting to the results right away, because that's what's going to get their attention. Okay. Next, guys, when you have multiple jobs on your resume, that doesn't mean that each job deserves an equal amount of space. Okay. So if you have a job that's not as relevant anymore, if it was 20 something years ago, or if you have 3 sales jobs and 1 marketing job, and you're going for a sales position, you want to show your results for those sales positions that correlate to that job that you're going for, more than a job you had, 4 jobs ago that was in marketing. Because a lot of you guys, you'll give the same amount of space for every job. You don't have to do that, guys. You want to highlight where you had your success, number one, but also what pertains most to the job you're going for. If you have a marketing role and you only had 1 marketing job in your past, you want to talk about a lot of those responsibilities that you had there. But if you're going for sales roles, you don't want to give a marketing role, a half a page of information when they're looking for a sales rep. Okay, so that's where, when a lot of times people ask me, Joe, should I have multiple resumes? Yes, it's okay to have another resume if you are up in the air between a sales and marketing role. But guys, you shouldn't have 50 different versions out there, because you're gonna run into trouble with that. Because I can't tell you how many times reps send me their resume, and then I go, I don't see that experience you're talking about, and they go, oh shoot, which one did I send you? And you're like, oh man, that's a huge red flag, guys. If you don't even know, if you're so confused and you have so many different resumes that you can't even tell, which version you sent me, huge red flag, guys. Do not do that. Make sure that you only have 1 or 2 versions out there. And really, you should be focused on, if you want a sales role, go for sales. You don't want to be looking in sales, marketing, engineering, all these different backgrounds that really don't have any correlation because you just want a job. Guys, you got to be more laser focused. Trust me. Being more, open to anything and everything typically doesn't result in a strong candidate, because they can tell throughout the interview process that your heart really isn't behind this. Got to be laser focused on what you're looking to do and go in that direction. Okay. Formatting, guys. This is another huge killer. I don't know when the trend changed that, and a lot of these resumes, James, you've seen the how realtors, they give out their cards, right?
Yeah.
Always put their picture on it. That's been something that realtors have done since the beginning of time, correct?
Correct.
Now this new trend has started over the past few years, where on resumes, candidates put their picture on the resume. Now, I don't care how you look, whatever, how good you look, how bad you look. Guys, stop putting your pictures on resumes. It looks like a real estate agent. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you add pictures, when you add all kinds of graphs. Another thing that they do now, they do self-assessments, where it'll be like a bar graph from 1 to 10, and they rank themselves on all these sales skills, from from communication style to results to personality. And they'll put this in, it's all self-rated, which doesn't make any sense. If you're going to rate yourself, why wouldn't you give yourself a 10? What's stupid to me to begin with? But you fill in all this space with all these graphic pictures, everything. What you don't realize is the ATS, the applicant tracking system that recruiter or hiring managers using, companies using, they can't, it's not going to save the resume because the formatting is so crazy that the ATS doesn't recognize it. So you send that resume in to a recruiter or to a company, they go to save it, it doesn't save. Do you think they're going to call you back up and say, "Hey, by the way, James, your resume didn't save"? No, guys, they got 100 more resumes to look at that are formatted correctly. So they're just going to just move on. And that's the sad reality, guys. They're too busy to call you up and to make sure you're doing things correctly. They'll just go, screw this. I got a ton of candidates to work with. I'm not wasting my time with this candidate. And they move on. So make sure, stop with all the pictures, graphs, all the background info. It should be short and sweet. Next, guys, you want to make sure that if you save it in Word, a lot of times what happens when you send that over to a hiring manager, to a recruiter, they open it up on their cell phones majority of the time. They're not always sitting at their desktop, at their computer, or with a laptop in front of them. Most of the time, they open it up on their phone. And the formatting, some of the indentions, the lines, they get aligned the wrong way. It gets viewed. It comes off differently. So make sure you're saving it in PDF before you send it out. Every time, guys, because what you see is what you get with PDF. So you'll see the format on your phone. You know that that's the way they're seeing it. When you send it out, Word or another version, a lot of times it opens up and the formatting's off, and then it's not going to look good. They're going to think, even though they know, oh, he sent it in Word, that's probably why. They'll go, you know what? The other candidates didn't do that, and the formatting looks good. So it's just another strike against you, that your lack of attention to detail. So make sure it's formatted correctly and you're sending it over correctly. Also, guys, some other formatting tips. If you're trying to squeeze it in, because I know another big myth that we want to dispel, that resumes have to be one page. That's not true, guys. Some of you have 20 years experience. It's impossible to get everything in there on one page. Now, should you give, like I said, talk about in detail what you did 20 years ago? No. You could give one or two lines with some of your previous roles. But really, if you go to 2 pages, that's fine. If you get to 4 pages with a resume, obviously that's overkill. But if you go to more than 1 page, that's okay, guys. But a formatting mistake that I see a lot, you try to squeeze it into 1 page, so you give tiny, tiny font. You'll give like an 8 font or 6 font, something ridiculous. And all it is just straining the recruiter's eyes, or the hiring manager, or again, that ATS that might not be able to read that, so it's not going to save it. You don't want to do that, guys. Just give the typical 10 or 12 font, whatever is normal out there, and keep it in that font so they can actually read your resume. Because if it's too hard to read, again, they'll just move on to somebody else. Again, stop at the long paragraphs, too many colors, the headshots. Save that for your LinkedIn profile. Trust me, guys, you don't need to put a picture on your resume. The first thing they're going to do is go to your LinkedIn profile and check out your presentation, the way you look. Okay. And all of you out there that stop, I know this isn't a LinkedIn call, but again, just a little side tip. Stop with the I look good at the wedding because I look tan and I got a nice tux on, and that's going to be my profile picture on LinkedIn. Or you got a good, beach shot with your friends. You might have your shirt off, or, you got a golf outfit on and you look good that day. Guys, get a professional headshot. If you're going to be in medical sales, guys, put that suit and tie on and go and have that professional look. You don't want to come in there and just have that nice, fun picture that you took at the wedding. They're going to see through that, guys. So make sure you don't do that. All right. Seeing if we covered everything here. All right. Obviously, guys, last thing, any typos. I know that's self-explanatory, but guys, please read your resumes over. Get them spell checked. Now with all the AI search engines and things you could do with ChatGPT and everything else, there should never be a spelling error. There should never be an indentation error. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, guys, where things are capitalized or not supposed to be, or vice versa. That is unacceptable. You could be the best candidate in the world with 30 years experience, have, from sales rep to CEO. You have spelling or grammatical errors in your resume, they will pass on you. So make sure, guys, you do not have that. That is unacceptable. Absolute red flag, should never happen. But James, I know I got a little over, so I'm going to pause here, see if we have any questions from the crowd.
We got quite a few, Joe.
Awesome.
Keep those questions coming for anybody that's got more. Dawn Hildereth. What about someone transitioning into pharma/med sales mid-career? My background is insurance sales, dental lab operations, and project implementation in group health insurance.
Absolutely. I mean, you have sales experience. You definitely, mid-career doesn't mean anything. It means that you have experience, and you should have a lot of professional experience. But the whole key is to highlight whatever your transferable skills are and really be able to show that. But if you do have any kind of sales background, focus on the four things I talked about. You should have rankings. You should have percent to quota. You should have sales growth, and you should have awards. It's okay not to have all four, but if you don't have one of four and you've been in a sales role, that's a huge red flag. But make sure that you're highlighting your results. That's what they really care about. Make sure that's in there for any sales role. And it doesn't matter about mid-career switching. I mean, this happens all the time. There's many people in this industry in their 40s and 50s, some in their 60s, that have broken in and have done very well. So don't let the middle age thing be an excuse that companies don't want to hire you. There's tons of companies out there that will hire reps like that.
We got Miss Kayla Rose, career changer here from teaching. Do I even mention the classroom stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teachers make outstanding sales reps. Their number one correlating transferable skill, is their presentation skills. So you want to really highlight the presentations that you've given, the audience you've given. You want to talk about the success that you've had. Sorry, James, the lights just went out on me. Give me 1 sec.
It's all right.
Technical difficulties here.
Joe said before the show that the lights weren't working. Of course they are.
All right, James, we're okay now? All right, good.
All right. So we got, did you finish answering that question?
Yes, I did. Well, so you want to focus on with a lot of these candidates, when you're coming from a teaching background, you want to make sure that you are focusing on the success of your students, of your classroom. Okay, so if you've had X amount of graduates, a percentage of graduates, a percentage of whatever they did on certain exams, an average grade point average in your class, showing student improvement. This is all the effectiveness of your teaching. So you want to have some sort of data that you could be able to put in there. James, I'm getting a little flicker. Do you see that?
No.
I think it stopped. Okay. Yeah, see, it's flickering a little bit, but.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know what's going on. It's probably your camera. That's very weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but.
And maybe your internet. That's probably really what it is.
Okay. Well, we're going to keep going.
Ash Marie X, 2 jobs in 2 years. How bad does that actually look?
That's okay. Listen, it's common. Unfortunately, in this industry, the average person lasts a year and a half at a medical sales role. And I know some of you, that's scary to some of you, but it's a harsh reality. There's a lot of turnover, but you don't want to be those candidates that is constantly looking for a new role. Where you've been 8 months here, a year here, 6 months there and you've had 5 jobs in 6 years. If you've had 2 jobs in 2 years, that's not a deal killer. But if you have 5 in 6 years, there's something wrong there, guys. And a lot of times I know I've been a part of 3 layoffs. I know stuff happens. It's very frustrating. But there's a lot of times that reps are the reason why they're leaving. And if you hear the stories of reps and they say, well, I left because of this. I had a problem here. Then I had another problem at this company. So I left. And I wasn't really happy there. So then I went to this company. Guys, if it's a constant thing over and over, then it's going to be a you problem. And a lot of companies are going to stay away from that.
Don't call me Shirley. Is lying? Is it lying if I round my quota number up a little, or where is the line?
I mean, nobody's going to know that. So as long as you don't, have a story that kind of changes and they can kind of tell that you're lying, or if you're blatantly lying and say that you were the number one rep in the company and you really dead last, they're going to probably sniff that out. But if you were at 130% of quota and you put down you were at 140%, are they really going to figure that out? No. They care more about how you talk about your story, how you talk about your strategy and your success. That's what they care about, guys. It's not so much of the number. You could be a 10-time President's Club winner. You could put it down tomorrow. I don't give a shit. If I'm talking to you and you can't tell me strategy, you can't tell me your approach, then it doesn't mean anything. So that's the most important thing, guys, is being able to talk about your strategy and your process to achieve success. Everything else doesn't mean crap. So make sure that's the most important thing, is they care more about how you did it than what the exact ranking was. If you put down you were 7th out of 50 as opposed to 5th out of 50, it's not going to be a big deal, guys.
Alexandria gets, I am transitioning into healthcare sales. I have 15 years of healthcare experience, but no sales experience. Is there any way you could give me an idea of what kind of rules that I should be targeting right now in order to gain credible sales experience to be able to eventually get into medical sales?
Yeah, the typically if you've been in you were in healthcare sales or just in healthcare? What was that she said at the beginning, James?
She was in health. She's 15 years of healthcare experience with. She wants to transition into healthcare sales.
Okay. Depending on what that exactly means with healthcare, because you could be a nurse, you could be a tech. Now, for people that are nurses and techs, they're typically clinical specialist roles are the appropriate role to apply for, or an associate role. Most companies are not going to give you a territory manager / sales role right off the bat if you don't have experience, sales experience. They're going to give you a clinical specialist role or an associate role, which basically means you're supporting a sales rep. You're going to cover a lot of clinical cases. You're going to do a lot of the grunt work that it takes, but you're supporting that sales rep to help you hit your goal, help that rep hit their goals. So I would focus in those areas first. But if you're going right for sales roles, right for territory manager roles, you're probably getting ghosted a lot, and you don't want to keep doing that because you're going to get frustrated. Focus for clinical specialty or associates.
Dawn Hildreth is back. So my highlights are more strategic thinking and provider relation experience. I don't have the numbers data from the past sales role.
Okay. So again, do your best to get those numbers. That's number one. If you were in a sales role, contact someone at your old company. Figure it out. Estimate as best you can. You don't want to just, if you've had years of experience in sales, if you go into an interview, if you have a resume that's written, it doesn't have any data, I'm telling you, they're not going to care. They're going to go, that's impossible. Then you weren't in a real sales role or you did poorly. So I'd rather see you estimate the best you can and put something in there than not put anything at all, because they're automatically going to assume that. They're going to think, they always think the worst because they've been lied to so many times. So make sure you're getting something in there. I'm not saying to lie or make something up, but there is a way that you can find it out. Do some due diligence first before you say you don't have those numbers. And then also estimate the best you can because I'd rather see you do that than not have anything in there because they're going to think that you're making stuff up or they're going to think that you didn't do well.
We got Sam and the Dogs 29. How many bullet points per job is too many? Mine, LOL, mine looks like a novel.
I mean, that's a good thing, Sam. That's a good place you want to be. I mean, guys, you got to use common sense here. I mean, if you want to get an exact number, I don't think you need any more than 10 bullets for a job, because then typically what that means is you're giving every single result, anything positive, for each quarter you're putting down that you hit your number. Guys, if you've had a lot of sales success, you could sum it up quickly. If you've been in a company for 20 years and you have all these accolades, you can combine a couple on one line. If you're a 5-time President's Club winner, you don't have to put down President's Club 2022, President's Club 2023. I mean, you could summarize 5-time President's Club 2022, 3, 4, 5 in one line. So there's ways to sum up a lot of your accomplishments because you don't want it to be a giant list. But even though I'd rather see that than just a lot of daily activities and a lot of just paragraphs and nonsense, but you don't want to just fill it up with 20 accomplishments. Really, anywhere from 8 to 12, that's plenty for a position. They get the point that you've done well there.
Heather Salisbury. Should I be matching the exact language from the job posting, or does that look too obvious?
I mean, if you definitely want to. This is where I don't want to see you guys do this. Every job posting, you match what it says in that job posting, and now you have 700 resume versions. And then all of a sudden now you don't even know what your original resume looks like because you've been trying to change it to specific wording to match a certain job title. Guys, at the end of the day, matching the words, it's not really going to do much they care more about your years of experience, the therapeutic areas you've called on if you already have experience in this industry. That's more important than just matching a couple of adjectives in your resume to change it up to match that job posting. If they ask for CRM experience with Salesforce and you have it, yeah, of course, put that on your resume. But if it's things in there that are just adjectives and you're trying to match adjectives in your resume, they're not going to care about that, guys. That's not going to be the thing that pushes you across. But if they're asking for 3 years of B2B sales experience, make sure you have the words B2B sales experience on your resume. That is important. But you don't want to just, again, hardworking, adjective to match the job post. That's not going to do anything, guys. It's got to be the actual experience that they're looking for and make sure you match that. But don't do that to match every opening out there because that's where the 500 different versions of your resumes come out, and that causes all kinds of problems.
We got Tristan Neal. What about a new grad with a health science degree and a nursing OR experience, as well as sales within retail establishments? But on my own networking calls, everyone is saying I need more experience in both sales and clinical.
So on your networking calls, people are saying you need more sales and clinical. Who cares what your networking calls are telling you that? I mean, that honestly, I want to know what are the companies that you're applying to, number one. Are you applying to companies that you're actually a fit for what they're asking for? Because I see that happening a lot where I'm getting ghosted all the time. Well, what are you applying to? If you're a young college grad and you're applying to pharma roles where most pharma companies will not hire right out of college, they want to see at least 1 year of B2B sales experience, then you're looking in the wrong direction. But I care more about not what the networking people are telling you what the problem is. I care what the jobs that you're applying to. Are you getting people calling you back? Because sometimes it's not just a resume. There could be other areas that you have major flaws in. It could be your LinkedIn profile. Again, it could be where are you looking? I care more about that than just anecdotal, networking people. Do they have a job for you? If they do, okay, fine. But if they don't, who cares what they say? Because a lot of your background that you just described, I've definitely seen similar backgrounds with people that broken in. It just depends on where you're looking.
We got T. Willis the third, I guess. How do I handle a job I got fired from? Do I just leave it off?
No, that's definitely not. If you got fired from a job, do not leave it off. Do you have to tell them, yes, I got fired? I don't see why you have to do that. You could say you left for another opportunity. I mean, it doesn't, when they do a background search, it doesn't say fired from XYZ company. It's going to have the dates that you were there. Now, the way that they can find out if you were fired, if you leave your last manager as a reference, and you put that manager on who's going to say, yeah, he got fired at the last job. I mean, obviously, guys, you got to play the game here a little bit and not talk about all the negatives of your past. I'm not saying here sit here and lie, but there's no reason, definitely no reason to leave a job off. I mean, say you were there a couple of years. What are you going to have, a giant gap because you got fired? You're not going to put that experience that you had down there? I mean, okay, don't forget, guys, hiring managers, they've had a lot of experience too. They've gotten fired from jobs too. So don't automatically think because you were fired, that's it. You're like tarnished from the industry. They get it. But I wouldn't leave a job off because having a giant gap is a bigger issue than getting fired. That's my advice. Definitely don't leave that off.
We got Steph Plants Things. Do hobbies or volunteer stuff belong on a med sales resume or no?
I mean, it's okay to put them on there, but it's not going to be something that's really going to be a game changer, guys. I mean, just because you golf or you garden, and maybe you have a hiring manager that golfs or garden too, like golfing. I mean, I know it's a real unique sport that 40-year-old guys play that are managers. I mean, guys, it's not going to be something that's really going to wow them. If you do have an athletic background and you do have a military background, a lot of companies like to see that. Playing softball with your friends on a Tuesday night, you want to put that down? I don't think that really makes any difference to me. I know I wouldn't care as a hiring manager if someone played softball. So you got to make sure that, for me, if the quick answer, I would leave that off. It's not going to move the needle. Focus on your results. That's more important.
Dawn Hildreth wants to know if she'll have access to the transcript of this live. It will be posted on YouTube, so go follow Joe on YouTube.
Yes. Go to the RepPath Academy on YouTube and subscribe, and you'll be able to click that link below.
Right there.
Thank you, James.
No problem.
Click and subscribe, and you'll be able to get all the information. You'll get this and everything else that we have.
We have Carly K. Should the most recent job always have the most detail, or the most impressive one?
No. Doesn't mean that just because it's the most recent, hopefully it's very impressive. Hopefully it has a lot of results and a lot of things that the companies are looking for. But sometimes that's not always the case. I mean, your most recent job, you could be there 3 months. Doesn't mean you're going to have loads of accolades in 3 months. I mean, that's not realistic. But no, it really doesn't matter. That's a simple answer, is that if you have a lot of accolades and it's most recent job, you want to get it in there just like you did if it was a job before. But a lot of times that's not always the case. So yeah, the quick answer is no, it doesn't have to be that way.
Kayla Marie with a bunch of E's. Been applying for months, no callbacks. Is it the resume or something else?
I mean, that's impossible for me to tell just by that quick assumption. I mean, typically the typical rule of thumb, if you're not getting any interviews, typically it's your resume or your LinkedIn profile or the jobs you're applying to. You got to make sure, guys, there's so many different criteria. Typically it's your resume if you're not getting any interviews. That doesn't mean that's 100% of the time. And if you're getting interviews and you're not closing and you're not getting any job offers, typically that means something's wrong with your interview presentation skills. but there's many other factors in between. It's the way you network. It's the way that you're actually prospecting, looking at companies, the type of companies you're looking for, your LinkedIn profile, how you're reaching out to people. I mean, guys, this is what we teach at the academy. That's why there's never just one silver bullet. When people ask me online, Joe, can you give me a quick tip? Tips are bullshit. Tips are for lazy people. Put the work in. We're going to cover everything at the academy. And we're going to make sure that you're fully prepared. So it's not just guessing, well, maybe it's my resume. And then 6 months later, I'm still not getting a job. You know what? Maybe it was my LinkedIn profile. Like, we're going to cover everything, guys. So it's hard to answer that question with just one yes or no. There's so many different factors that play a role.
Cleveland Carl, what's the right way to talk about a startup that went under on my resume?
I mean, again, that's typical. That's typical of startups. To put in there that you could just put in a bullet startup that, or underneath your job description, you could put a quick sentence that said, funding didn't come through, or whatever happened at that specific startup. I mean, a lot of interviewers, a lot of recruiters, hiring managers, they understand how difficult the startup game is. A lot of them could have been a part of it themselves. So they know that, they come and go a lot of times. Funding doesn't get approved. Different things happen that it doesn't come to fruition. So that's very, very typical. So don't be embarrassed to put a little sentence in there describing that, which is fine.
We got designs. Where did it go? Designs by Lena. I have a felony from years ago. Does that even belong on the resume?
No, absolutely not. I don't know why you would ever put that on there. There's nothing to gain from that. Listen, you have a felony in your background. You want to disclose that in the interview. That's up to you. Because to be honest with you guys, this is the reality where some people will say, well, just always be honest and disclose that right away. When you're talking about a felony, odds are most companies are not going to move forward with you if you have a felony. So you could be honest with them, because there are a lot of companies that their background checks are very weak. And, for me, I definitely wouldn't put it on my resume. And it's up to you. Do you want to disclose that at the beginning so you don't waste everyone's time? Or do you want to take your chances and let them find that out in a background check? I mean, really, that's up in the air, guys, because some companies, they're going to do their due diligence. A lot will, and they're going to find out about that felony, and they're going to pull the job from you anyway. But for most, let's be real. If you mention you have a felony in an interview, most aren't going past that anyway, because there are some companies that don't give a lot of background checks, that much due diligence, and sometimes things don't pop up. But again, I'm not sitting here suggesting a lie or do any of that. It's just the reality that it depends on the background check they do. Some might not. They might just look at, your if you have any DWIs or anything on your license, and that's what they care about. But putting it on your resume, I don't see how that helps.
I got two more, Joe. Alexander she's back and wants to know, do I take a job that is B2C to get sales experience, or is that pointless? Should I only be looking B2B?
It's not pointless, but B2B is definitely more important. They want to see the reason for B2B, they want to see that you're going into meet with a business owner, a decision maker, face to face to impact a decision, just like you would with a physician. It's a lot of face-to-face interactions where you're trying to convince them to use your product or buy your service, same as you would in B2B. That's why B2B is more important.
And last one, Jenna Castellano. I'm a current device rep considering a move. How detailed should I get about competitive product knowledge on my resume without oversharing?
Again, if you're talking too much about a competitive product on your resume, you're wasting time. You're focused on the results. You should be able to quickly describe what you did at a company and talk about that product in 1 or 2 sentences. If you're speaking too much on the product, that means you're getting away from your actual results and what you did there. And that's a red flag. They don't care so much about your product inside and out. They'll talk about it in the interview with you. You want to make sure you focus on your results for your resume.
That's all I got today, Joe.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. Thanks, James. And I apologize, everyone, for the technical difficulties and this, glitchiness going on right now.
I don't know
Uh,
what's. I don't know. I've never seen this before. This is wild. It's got to be the internet because you're in a new spot.
yeah, it could be. It could be. But thank you guys again. Great show today. A lot of questions. Any of you guys, please reach out to me if you're struggling to break in, and we will cover all this with the academy. Click reppath.com below and set up a call with me. I can explain the program and we'll walk you through how we can help you so you're not figuring out, is it my resume? Is it my profile? Is it my networking? Guys, we're going to cover everything to make sure that you are fully prepared to stand out from everyone else that you're competing against. And we're also going to make you a better medical sales rep from the experiences of everyone that's in the academy.
Joe,
Lastly,
I think you failed to mention. I think you should add this: is that you guarantee placement. You work with people till they get placed.
100%. Great point, James. We do not give up on you guys. There is no 3 month, 6 month membership, and then you got to pay an extra fee. We are going to continue to work with you, no strings attached, until you get a job. That's it. So if you want to break in, we're going to commit with you until you break in. If you're looking for your next role and improving your career, we're going to work with you until you get to that role. So no strings attached. James, thanks again for reminding me that. And lastly, guys, any lobby members, submit that promo code Licata. Click on the screen there. There's the promo code LICATA. Make sure you submit that when you set up a call, and I can get you additional discounts for all lobby members. Other than that, guys, thank you again. Great talk this week. And every Monday and Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So if not, have a great week, great weekend. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Take care.